going on, family of God, kingdom carriers, on a busy Monday? Woo, man, I just wanted to see if I could just, catch my breath, jump on here live. I've been doing a lot of lives lately because we've got so many things that are in flux in the world, and I just couldn't resist. Lord, I just pray that, you will just give me wisdom as to what to say. I have a lot of guys that watch my channel, so I really wanted to weigh in on this Mark Driscoll controversy. Someone who's no stranger to controversy and scandal and all that. I don't know Mark. I don't know much about his ministry, but I know just he's definitely a controversial figure from what I understand, and it can be seen in a lot of videos, saying things and doing things, and I believe he's a pastor out of Arizona. But everyone's talking about his open rebuke at the Stronger Men's Conference. That's what the latest brouhaha seems to be about regarding him. And I have no issue with what he did. I'm not even sure what went down. I mean, except for this, we know that the issue was about this stripper, a known stripper that they used. I mean, there was a lot of things going on. A lot of things go on in these Stronger Men's Conferences. We have these monster trucks and boxing, and I'm going to get to all of that in a second, because that's more important than the symbolism and the innuendo that everyone is. Even Jeremiah Johnson jumped on, and he's like, and I agree. It's like, what is becoming of the church? I mean, this is supposed to be a Christian event. It's kind of an outlier in my opinion. I mean, I'm not going to judge. I am going to point to the reason I'm making this video, why we need a reboot, why we need a prophetic reset, refresh, and reform of the modern church system is for this very reason, that the consumer Christianity that is so pervasive, the entertainment driven part of all of this, where, put aside, okay, you've got this guy, on a pole, swallowing a sword, and, he's shirtless, and put aside all of the, whatever the intention was. I have no idea. It's a bad look all around. I get it. It's really weird. What does this have to do? Is this appropriate for a Christian, event? Of course, all of that, is relevant, but this is what happens, and why I've been talking about a form of godliness that has no power. This is what we are left with. So I've often said, what happens when you reject the Holy Spirit? What happens when you reject tongues and the interpretation of tongues? What happens when you don't believe in healing? What happens when you just reject outright, deliverance and the casting out of demons, and you reject prophecy, the laying on of hands? You don't want any of that going on. What are you left with? And you're forced and resigned to, to resort to entertainment and these kinds of stunts and the things that the world, operates in, the ways of the world, the ways of the flesh, the ways that are not of the Spirit. That's what you're left with. You're left with a form of godliness that has no power. You're left with just an empty shell of what Jesus started. And the church that Jesus built was a bold and courageous and yes, very masculine, but it was also very feminine, because you had the lion and you had the lamb, you had both. It's like, we don't even know what it means to be a real man anymore, what it means to be a real woman either. So there's all this confusion surrounding what it means to be a real man, and we're having these conferences, thinking that the more testosterone, the more manly it has nothing to do with it. You look at David and my favorite, the Apostle Peter, and how he bounced back and endured, through his own mistakes and his own shortcomings and his own failures. The biggest one was his denial of Christ, and how he took accountability and he manned up. He manned up and he moved in great power. And, there's nothing more attractive to a woman than a man who walks in spiritual power. I'm not talking about witchcraft power. I'm not talking about kundalini. I'm not talking about, weird kinds of power. The world is attracted to that. Actually, right now, people are grasping for straws. They're looking for something that's real. And so the church should be the first one to come out and demonstrate what real spiritual power is, what real love is, because power and love are intertwined. You can't separate the two. Love is power. I mean, power is love in action. So, here we are, talking about this crazy thing. It looks really strange. And I'm not going to get into, the argument surrounding what he did. Was it appropriate? Was it inappropriate? I think it was. I think, we need to have open rebukes. This has nothing to do with a private man's sin and taking that person aside, and anything that leader, was trying to make it all about when he was actually like kicked off the stage. He said, "You're done." But what Mark did, more of us need to do. That's what a real man does. A real man, speaks to the elephant in the room. A real man, addresses the issue, and he leads. And so that's what I want to leave you with today. But this is just another example of why we need a reboot. Why God is doing a reboot. He's taking the church through it, and he's going to take the whole world through a prophetic rebirth, a reset. The book of Revelation, as we see right now, is coming alive before our eyes. And I'll just close with this. What we see going on in the Middle East, what we see going on with Israel, and we're waiting for their response to what Iran did. Iran knew exactly what they were doing, and it wasn't anything more or anything less. I think they knew exactly what they were doing. There was a goal in mind. It wasn't what the media is saying. If you know anybody in the military, if you've been in the military, you know that Iran had a specific purpose in what they did. I think there's just too much stupid speculation as to what Israel's going to do. Israel would be very foolish to do something over the top like a nuclear attack or something. That's why I'm responding to these videos I'm seeing. I'm responding to the foolishness. Guys, we're not even in tribulation yet. We have 7 seals, we have 7 trumpets, and we have bowls of wrath. That's the chronological. And we have the Antichrist. The Antichrist in the beast system is a big part of what we will see mid-trib. A lot of people think we're in the tribulation. We're not. People are talking about Ezekiel 38 prematurely, which is in reference to and correlates to the Battle of Armageddon at the end of the tribulation before, Christ returns. We're talking about the rapture and speculating pre-trib, mid-trib, post-trib. Guys, maybe I'll do a video on just the rapture and why people still insist on a pre-trib rapture. I'm not pre-trib, I'm mid-trib. But there's, some evidence. There could be some evidence that, there has been a good argument and logic behind the fact that many believe that the return of the Lord is in and of itself the rapture event, that the dead in Christ rise first, and then those who are on the earth gather with him as he's coming, and it's this one event. So there is an argument that's been presented and some evidence for that. But, I think it's a distraction. I would love to know the exact timing, but Jesus said, it's not when you most expect me, it's when you least expect me, like a thief in the night. I think that, the rapture of the church, and the second coming are 2 events. But I don't know everything. I sometimes struggle, and I say, well, you've got Daniel, and you've got Ezekiel, and you've got what John said in Revelation 19, and and then you have Thessalonians, and this okay, what is it? The last trumpet, that is referred to in Revelation that Paul is referring to, or is it, is there another trumpet at the very end? Any Bible scholar in eschatology has worked through this stuff. And so maybe I'll grab an expert and we'll do a video on that next time. But for right now, just remember, just because you were born into a system doesn't make it right. And we've chosen the system over the spirit for far too long. It's time for a reboot. God is doing it. He's raising up a new breed of leadership. That includes you. People who have had no brand or name recognition, but they've been prepared. They've been seasoned for such a time as this. They've gone through the wilderness. They've been tested. They've been purified. And God is about to release these people to a new breed of leadership God is using to reboot the system so that His kingdom and His glory will be seen one last time. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done so already, and smash that like button and share this with someone who really needs the encouragement. I'll talk to you again soon. Catch you in the next video.